I'm struggling how to talk about transformation because it's not just a word that means one thing. Transformation by its very nature is different for probably everybody and goes into many different realms. So I think a lot of the time I see transformation when people focus on transforming their bodies, like going to the gym more, maybe eating more nutritiously, stuff like that. But the transformations that I don't see as much are where someone overhauls their whole psyche and understanding and life to kind of suit who they are and who they're becoming. And while I want to talk about like physical transformation today, I also want to talk about mental, emotional, spiritual life transformation today, because I feel that I'm on this precipice of so much transformation and that this is really my year to transform. And it started last year, but it really is coming to fruition now. And so with that, we open Coffee and Catastrophe to talk about transformation in our lives. This is Coffee and Catastrophe with Brent and Gabi.
Yeah, I've been on that journey. I don't know if the proper term is with you, but I've been like alongside, just like seeing you transform during like these transformative years. And it's just like, holy shit. So when did it like begin for you? Like what was like that like aha moment or like the series of events that led up to where you are now?
It's a few different things. I think that I had a big moment of realizing that my life wasn't where I wanted it to be when I was in the first year of teaching. And I kind of, after living in the suburbs for a year, like on my own and working, I was just realizing, especially being single, there wasn't a lot for me to do and see, and be a part of. And I felt really kind of isolated. And I was also going through a lot of changes. Like, Cody and I broke up in like summer 2017. And then after that like full year where I was like had a full-time job, I just kind of realized that my life wasn't exactly where I needed to be. And so that's where, like, for example, I bought a condo in Chicago and I'm moving there in several weeks from now. And that's probably one of the biggest life transformations is I'm literally moving my life to a new space. And I'm owning a condo for the first time. And I'm moving back to the city, which was something that I thought, like, literally, if you told me 5 years ago when I graduated college from Loyola, you're going to move back to Chicago in 5 years, I'd be like, fuck you. No, I'm not. I fucking hate the city. But here I am because, number one, I don't have to live in Rogers Park, which is not the best of neighborhoods. I can choose where I'm living. I'm, found a really awesome place that I feel like so blessed to like live in. It's like so cool. And it's like right smack dab where like there's things going on in the area, but I also have like quiet space, which I like need. So it was kind of like realizing that where my life wasn't serving me in the highest regard and that I deserved better and that I deserved like more. And on top of that, too, like, honestly, hitting rock bottom when this past October, November, when I decided to get treatment for my eating disorder. Like, that was probably the biggest moment of I need to change and I need to transform, like, my whole psyche and mental, emotional well-being because it just wasn't there at all. So, I'm doing a lot of different things. On top of that, I have some really amazing opportunities coming up in terms of like teaching work, and big changes will most likely happen. And that's amazing. But it's also like really overwhelming because it's wonderful, but it's so much all at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like I told you earlier, like the biggest thing I'm like trying to transform is like my relationship with like my body and how I like take care of myself and, just overall trying to be better to me and who I want to be. And I think for so long I didn't have I wasn't rooted in like what I wanted to be and who I'm meant to be. And now I feel like I know that more.
Yeah. I honestly think that the breakup, that was perhaps the catalyst for it all.
Oh, totally.
It's not like when like all the other pieces started falling into place, but I think had that not happened, none of this other stuff would have happened.
I totally agree. And that's not to dismiss like Cody as a person, but like that relationship stopped serving both of us, and I needed to be alone. And interestingly enough, I recently heard, I think I was watching like a YouTube video, and so someone was saying like, why do we look at like being single as it's just the interim before another relationship, when what it should be is like singledom is a journey of self-exploration and love and joy and compassion for yourself and doing what you want to do, and what's right for you. Like nothing, you have no strings holding you to a person, so other than maybe your family and your friends. And so I think that was huge, because then it was like, okay, that person, you know, he had said he wanted to move to New York City at one point. He did move back home. Like, obviously I was back home with him. Not that we lived together, but I think that was just like the real space to like explore and be like, all right, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in the suburbs? Do you want to move out? Like, what's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. So I totally agree. And when you date as an adult, like you just learn more and more about yourself and more about people and like what you want and like what kind of people are out there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's really, it's been like quite the process, you know. I think like when I see transformation, it sounds really cheesy. Mm-hmm. The way I see it is, it's literally like the Transformers, like the Transformer movies, the toys and all that shit. Bumblebee is like the last movie that came out. Mm-hmm. So Bumblebee is both a car and like a humanoid kind of robot. So it's like, it's not like as if like he's waiting for something to just kind of like have in his exterior. Mm-hmm. So I guess like, it's like, you know, when he's like kicking the most ass, he transforms into like the fucking humanoid one. And then if he has to go somewhere fast, he like transforms back down. So like, it's still like all within him. So I used to think transformation was you have to completely change something like to be something that you are absolutely not. So instead of like Bumblebee turning into like the fucking humanoid, he turns into like a giant dick, or I don't know. I'm just saying whatever. Just something completely like that's just not there. Totally. At all. You know, and like that's the stuff that like if you're looking for something that's on the outside to fulfill you, to really transform you, like you will never be fulfilled. And I've learned that too, you know, because I was craving transformation years ago. You know, after my like 2014, that shitty year that I have talked about in the past. And I craved something new, and then I had tried to push towards some form of meaning, but I noticed that while my intentions were in the right place, perhaps some of that meaning was kind of deterring for what I really wanted to become, because I was becoming something that sounded good as opposed to something that was me. Mm-hmm. Just giving myself like an open mind and like just like learning about all the things. But, you know, like when you take it out on like the world, it's like, oh, wait a minute, that has nothing to do with the world. That's just something that I'm trying to figure out. So the transformation that like, you know, even like me that I'm personally going through, it's still like every day. And it's just like, instead of like it all at once, like the fucking Bumblebee transforming from the car to the humanoid, like maybe like the tire gets put away and then like an arm comes out. Yeah. And then, you know, so it's still like a work in progress. But the emotional part is kind of being more true to yourself. Yeah, totally. And we talked about earlier, like even I feel and sense a transformation of you and I from like season 1 to season 2 to season 3. And that hasn't been very long. Like that's not a very long stretch of time, period. We celebrated our 1-year recording anniversary a year, like what, 3 months ago, something like that. So it's kind of like, it really makes you think and consider how like one person can change and alter themselves so much in such a significantly small amount of time. And kind of to bring it to my eating disorder, I have now, I don't necessarily want to get into the details of like what my eating disorder is, just because I don't want to trigger anybody. Because I don't want to like really, I guess maybe I'm going to talk about it as much as I feel comfortable with. Just know if you're a person who can't handle listening to people talking about their eating disorder experiences, I'm going to get really deep here about mine. And so if like you need to like not listen, like take that time, don't listen. For me, the eating disorder started when I was a freshman in college, and it was a means of numbing myself to the pain of being alone and not having coping mechanisms that were healthy. And the other thing that like I think maybe some don't realize about eating disorders is like it is entirely in my head, and I know that, but it becomes so big and massive and monsterly that you cannot defeat it. That's how it feels. Like you are powerless. And it's also a shameful act, and you know it's shameful, so you hide it. And for example, Cody had no idea. Like he saw things and knew something was up, but he didn't know how to talk about it and kind of encourage me to do better. Like the things he saw, I think he just didn't have the language or the understanding of like Gabby's presenting eating disorder like behaviors. And like disordered body image. Like the reason, like Cody and I, one of our first struggles as a couple was that I never felt secure about my body to the point that we weren't physically intimate for like 2 months at a time, because I was just so against my body and the way that I looked, and so ashamed of the way that I looked. And those seeds have been planted since I was 8 years old. Like, they've just been planted, and they were probably nurtured by the way adults around me spoke, and nurtured by dieting culture and obsession with body, so on and so forth. I realized that something was seriously wrong when my behavior disordered eating habits, and mental disordered thoughts, they really got out of hand in probably September and October of 2018. And it was like every day doing the behavior. And the thing is that I didn't realize I had an eating disorder until it got to that level, because there were spaces in time in my life where I was not stressed out. I didn't need to numb out like my eating disorder would numb things out. And so I would have times in my life where I would eat intuitively and be in tune with my body, although still hating it and, like being really negative towards it, but not engaging in the disordered eating behaviors that I'd had. But that being said, those behaviors were still there. They were just on a smaller scale. So it felt like I was healthy and fine when I wasn't. So it got to be really intense, and the behavior was coming up every single day, which is the first time that had happened since I was in college. And, I didn't know what to do. And then finally, I think I watched like a video from What Mia Did Next, who's a YouTuber who had anorexia and bulimia. And she is a ambassador for the Butterfly Project, which is Australia's like primary like eating disorder awareness association. And she was describing her behaviors, and when she was sick, and I was like, oh fuck, that's me. Like, that is exactly what I'm going through. So I had that come to Jesus moment and hitting rock bottom. And so the thing about it too is like, if you like, I was trying to like lose weight that entire time. Like, I think the biggest thing people need to take away is like, my eating disorder was entirely, like, obviously there's the numbing outness, but it was also a function of the fact that I was unhappy with my form and my physical body, and that I was trying to manipulate my body into being something. And that if I had not been pushing myself to be that mental size and to be that size and shape, I probably would have never developed the eating disorder that I did. Like, the seeds were planted, toxic diet culture is like everywhere, but especially because of all those things, that was like how it was all able to like fully come into like fruition as like an eating disorder. So as soon as I hit bottom, I instantly was like, I need fucking help. I need to figure this out. So I instantly went on the National Eating Disorder Association's website and looked for resources. I found a workbook specific to my eating disorder. And I also found the Intuitive Eating workbook and the Intuitive Eating book, which was first published in the 90s and has since been published like 3 different editions. And through those and like literally making it a nightly practice, like I would devote 3 hours a week more in the beginning of working through the workbooks so that I was actively working through my recovery at all levels. And I also sought out a therapist that my friend had recommended. And the hardest part was probably telling my family and friends that it was going on, because like they knew something had been wrong. They had seen my body shape change, but they probably didn't have words and understanding of what was going on and knowing the signs. Even though they were there from probably like a really young age, like no one knew, or they thought they were normal. But that being said, like from the moment I started really rigorously in treatment and recovery, it's been a solid probably 9 weeks since my behavior has like happened, which is awesome. That's the first time potentially in 6 or 7 years that I haven't engaged in that behavior at least once a week. And again, as it was a means of release, it was a means of control. I love food. Food is great. I really enjoy it. I enjoy eating, but it's not just that. It's a means of control and denying what's there and numbing yourself out. And through the help of a therapist, I've helped to learn that I apologize to any of my family members listening, but I really don't have any models of healthy coping skills in any area of my life. Obviously, you can't really learn coping skills from friends because you're already grown by that point. But and so my therapist helped me realize, like, you never had a model of how to deal with these things. So of course, like how intelligent your body is that it chose to do these things because it knows that it feels better and can numb itself out and stop your pain if you do this. So that's been amazing, because for the first time in my life, I am in tune with like my hunger and my satiety. When I would be dieting, I would just deny myself food and tell myself I was weak and I had no willpower, instead of listening to my body and it's telling me, Gabby, I'm hungry. I want food. And when I'm not hungry anymore, you can stop feeding me. Like, if I would have just listened. And like, my parents always talk about this too, that like when I was little, like I loved my fruits and vegetables, like absolutely like loved, like I was also always like a healthy eater. And I do legitimately like eating plants and fruits and vegetables. You know, obviously I love also like deep fried cheese curds. Cause side note, part of my eating disorder was becoming vegan. Maybe we can get into that. So I'm still a vegetarian, but the eating disorder could really thrive when I became vegan. And so I had to make that change too as a part of this transformation. It's amazing, because for the first time in my life, I mean, it's not that I don't have trying days where I don't have a return to those thoughts and those feelings that are just like life's getting out of control. And so I want to numb everything. It's not that I don't have those days, but they're really becoming less and less now. And instead I feel more control I don't want to say control, because I used to control my body with my eating disorder, and I used to control myself, and then I would lose control because I had so much control. But I don't know, like, it just feels so good to make the transformation to being in tune with my body and finally nourishing it. And I just am so grateful that it only has taken me a couple months to see a turnaround, because it's been years of pain. So it feels awesome. It feels like a turning point in my whole fucking life. And that's, you know, I kind of kept joking with a friend that, like, this was like the summer of Gabi, the season of Gabi, the year of Gabi. And it feels like, honestly, after my breakup, which, sorry, like, Cody, you're awesome. Like, I love you. We hang out sometimes. We get food. I talk your ear off on the phone. Like, it's whatever. We're friends. And to anyone who's like, oh man, that's really weird for her to say that about her ex-boyfriend, fuck off, choke on a cock. But really,
I almost did a spit take.
I just sometimes have these moments where, like, I'll speak like positively about my ex, and I just feel the judgment. Then I'm like, you know what? Just because you don't have a good relationship with your ex-boyfriend doesn't mean that I can't. Like, like, again, we usually touch base like once a month. And if we're lucky and the stars align, we grab a coffee or some food, or we'll hang out. It's nothing weird, but everyone wants to make it out like we're still together. I just feel the fucking judgment, you assholes. So fucking stop, because Cody, you're an awesome guy, but I'll be damned if I ever date you again. Fuck. But anyway, more about me. Sorry. I'm sorry.
It all goes back to cock. That's kind of
choke on a cock.
That's kind of, I think I finally was able to hear you say that without playing some sort of Pictionary game or like
you've never heard me say cock before like that.
No, choke on a cock.
No, choke on
I've heard you say cock at least every other time we record.
Stop.
But I've never just heard you say go choke on a cock like as a command. But enthralling story. I'm just saying that was quite the tits, quite the twist.
Yeah, no, but I just feel the judgment when people are like, "Wow, you're speaking so fondly of your ex-boyfriend. You must have feelings for him still." And it's like, well, I have positive feelings towards him as someone I spent 5 years of my life with, and as I have to. Like, sure, we don't have kids, but like, I would be really missing out on something if I had ill feelings towards a person that I spent so much fucking time with. Like, if I was remiss, like, what would I have to fucking show for 5 years? You know, and again, like, we had a pretty good relationship on most parts. It wasn't perfect. There's things that we both shouldn't have done and regret. But yeah, so the thing is that, like, ultimately, like, and again, no offense to Cody, but like, breaking up was like the biggest gift he could have ever given me, because I was able to transform my life and figure out what I wanted and where I was going and what is good for me. Because without that, I wouldn't be where I am. I'd probably be I hate to say this, I'd probably be in an even worse spot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I talked really long about that transformation, which, I'm sorry. Like, sometimes it's really cool when people have like long stories, but it's also like...
Well, I actually had like more questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So like, what's like the hardest part about recovery now?
Oh, shit. Being alive. The hardest part is that for my eating disorder, the hardest part initially was like, obviously, like, asking for help and getting help and recognizing, not being in denial, and like whatever. But the hardest part initially was there's a phase where you have to be comfortable eating the foods that you're afraid of and letting yourself eat. And that was so fucking hard. Like, and it's not to say I didn't have like times where I ate not unhealthy, because like, okay, let's say someone eats a party-sized bag of peanut butter M&Ms. Just a random example, not from my personal experience, but let's say you eat a party-sized bag of peanut butter M&Ms in one day. You're not going to die. You're going to get a tummy ache, but you're not going to die. So I almost said an unhealthy amount, but it doesn't matter like an unhealthy amount. Like what the fuck is, like if it killed me, yeah, that'd be an unhealthy amount. But until then, fuck off. So, wow, I'm getting really defensive. This is awesome. Cause that was the same attitude I gave with choke on a cock. So wow, I'm just really like I'm just fucking ovaries deep right now in the defensive language, but whatever. So initially the hardest part was having to eat foods I was afraid of, and that meant also reincorporating animal products like eggs, only eggs and dairy. Because again, the way my eating disorder kind of used it was like ethically I am a vegetarian. Like I became a vegetarian before my eating disorder, right before my eating disorder. And I never really liked meat, so it's fine. Like it was easy to give up meat for me. The biggest switch in my brain was internally going like, how do you look at a menu and see what you can have, not what you can't have? Like that's the biggest shift, really. But like for the eating disorder, it really like preyed upon then demonizing animal products and saying, you know, if you give up animal products, then you'll get what you want, which didn't happen. I didn't get what I want. My eating disorder was never, you know, it promises you all these things. And that's another thing that people don't like realize is like the hardest part was like giving into foods that you're scared of. Another biggest thing is recognizing when it's your voice inside your head or it's your eating disorder's voice, because they're different. It sounds like, and that's like, oh, you got voices in your head. It's like, no, but it feels different. There's a difference between I'm gonna eat this, you know, this restaurant item because it sounds good and satisfying to my body versus I need to only eat this because it's the most healthy thing and it won't make me gain 10 pounds and blah, blah, blah. So that's really hard. And now the hardest part is recognizing that it's an upward spiral of healing and that you will return to moments and thoughts and feelings that you had during your eating disorder. And maybe even, I pray to God, I don't relapse. But even in those moments of relapse, you have a bigger understanding. Well, you've got a bigger understanding of what happened. You're also way more compassionate about what happened. And the hardest thing too is like, for me as someone who is so focused on body image, my body has been not wrecked, but my body changed because of what I was doing. And those changes were the exact opposite of what I was trying to achieve when I would engage in disordered eating behaviors. So I guess like now it's like understanding it's an upward spiral of healing and just trusting that like no matter what happens that like my body is like attractive and fine. Like I'm not gonna lie, because of what's happened, like the way that my people would notice my eating disorder markedly was probably with weight shifts. And now my weight's like really, I don't know how to talk about it. It's like my eating disorder got out of control to the point that I have physical things that are different on my body. And I'm not just talking weight gain. I'm talking like, I'm just going to go there. For the first time in my life, I have stretch marks on my like lower abdomen and on my kind of near my hips. And the ones that I have right across my stomach they're like, you can't hide them. They're just like, they look like a fucking tiger like scratched my midsection. And it's so hard to love how my body has changed. And it's even harder because I know I did that to myself. And that's really hard. And I know I'm going to get better and it's going to be okay. And I also know that the stretch marks will go away with time and with healing. And plus, now that I'm eating more in tune with my body's shifting again and transforming. And it's not like I'm unhealthier than I was physically when I didn't have the eating disorder, obviously. But yeah, it's like really hard. And I know that the reason it's hard for me is because I'm still latched onto like diet culture. Like there's a part of me there's this part of my brain that's like, you're fucking unworthy until you look like X person. Like you don't fucking matter. It doesn't care that you're like the best English teacher in your department. It doesn't fucking matter that you are, writing music for the first time. It doesn't fucking matter that you're like buying a house and moving to the city and making yourself happy. It doesn't fucking matter until you weigh X pounds and can fit into X dress size and X pant size and like so on and so forth. Like it does, like that's how it talks. And that's how it's been talking at me. That voice has been there since I was 9. And then, of course, I eventually listened to it long enough to start changing how I acted when I was like 18 and my behaviors. So that was a really long way of answering your question. Do you have more questions?
Well, the only other one was about the vegan aspect of it, but you did answer that one.
Yeah, no, it's, this one's hard because like, so when you're, I bet people who are like people who are addicted to substances, they probably feel this too, where it's kind of like if something's going on or like something changes, like they don't know how to talk about it because like it's really, I shouldn't have shame about it, but it feels shameful to tell people that like I'm in recovery for an eating disorder. So I have friends who are like vegan and like I haven't seen them in like a while, but I don't know how to tell them, like, if we go out to eat, that like I eat animal products now because I'm in recovery for an eating disorder, and part of my eating disorder completely demonized animal products. It was like just the next level that it could use against me. So it's really hard in that regard to like share that.
Like, do you think it's because like they would be judgmental of that or uncomfortable? Like, what's the
yeah, I fear judgment, that just like, oh well, you were, oh what, but what about the animals, blah blah blah. And like, yeah dude, I fucking feel you. I'm a vegetarian. I still care about the fucking animals. There's a part of me that really wishes I could still be vegan, and like here I could maybe get to a point in my life where I am healthy enough mentally that I don't demonize animal products and could eat vegan without it becoming a obsessive way, a means of control, a means of numbing. Like, and that was the thing too, like when I would cut off certain animal products, like not even meat, but like then the animal products would become enticing. Like, and that's just how we're wired. Because it's like, if I tell you not to think of a pink elephant, what do you think of?
Pink elephant.
Yeah, pink elephant. So it's like the same thing. So like, it's really hard right now to, the one transformation that I'm like really struggling against is like I really feel it churning out is like the self-love aspect and the body neutrality, and like being in a place where like I'm okay with my stretch marks, like I'm not concerned. And honestly, that's a huge part that like I really am apprehensive to like get into a relationship with somebody because I don't love my body right now. Like I told you earlier, like half joking, but like for real, like the idea of like a man like holding me like grosses me out, because I don't want a man to hold my body right now, because then it, I don't know, makes it real, makes it like having a person's hands on me would feel like acknowledging the size of my body and the shape of it right now. And like for some reason that's like something I can't get through right now, or like that I'm working on, that I don't have right now. But it's kind of like, like a video game where like you go to like the treasure trove and it's like the shadow outline of it. You're like, oh, I'm up for that one next. Like, so like it'll be in my trophy cabinet soon, but it's really hard to like, it's hard because again, like the only people who know about the recovery are like, I think you were like one of the first people the first person I told, something like that. And like, you, and then my friend John, and then my girlfriends, my family I told, and although I don't, like, my dad knows, but I don't think his girlfriend knows, like, for example, I don't think her kids know, unless he shared it with them, which I'm not, like, opposed to, but I also am, like, it's hard because you don't want judgment when you tell people. Like, example, I did tell somebody recently, I'm tutoring a student that I have who's actually in a hospitalization program for an eating disorder and other things. Among other things, she's there for an eating disorder. And I shared with her, I know how hard it is. Like, and I told her I've recovered from an eating disorder because I don't want to tell her I'm in the throes of it because but I basically just told her, like, I understand completely, like, I had an eating disorder, but this is like worthy work, and that, you need to be, that, you're going to be better and it's going to be okay. And like, it doesn't feel like that right now. The first, 10 weeks are the hardest, and then you feel a little bit better, blah, blah, blah. So, and I shared that with her mom too, because her mom was saying some things like, oh, I just got to keep feeding her and keeping her fed. And I kind of just like, I was like sympathizing, and I was like, I really understand, like, like between you and me, like I recovered from an eating disorder. And like, the mom literally did a head to toe, not trying to hide it, like glance, like eye to toe, back up to eye, to like see if I looked like I had an eating disorder. Like I felt that. Like she like body scanned me to see and like assess if I looked like I fit the criteria of a girl who could have an eating disorder. And it was like, that didn't feel good. It was like, yeah, I know the way I look, I'm not skinny enough for one. Don't I fucking know it? What do you think I was trying to do all those years? You didn't laugh at that. I'm sorry. That wasn't funny.
Well, I mean, you didn't say cock, so I didn't know.
Oh,
I didn't
cock!
Hey. But yeah, like, is there anybody like close in your life that does not know that you think would judge you harshly, like upon your revelation?
I've got some family members that aren't immediate that I don't want them to know because I just don't think they'll understand and handle it and like get what. I don't think they'll get it. Like, and how could they? Like, no one fucking knows what it's like. And everyone who's had my eating disorder or an eating disorder period, like, it's still so different from each other. Like, so different. But, like, I love my mom and she's been a lot better about this. But, like, when my mom first knew, she had no idea about, like, what was appropriate around me to say and do. Example, like, I probably can't handle it now, but like my mom was really flippant about telling me about how much weight she'd lost when she started working at a warehouse and how she thinks that I should just get a warehouse job because I would have so much time to just like, like think and be moving my body for 4 hours straight. And, she just lost so much weight and she got so fit. And it was just like, I literally exploded at one point. It was like, I can't fucking hear that. Like, you do not know what happens to me when I hear this stuff. And so that really was a big thing. But she's been better because I had to kind of set that boundary like a couple times of like, do not mention weight, do not mention eating, do not mention weight loss programs, do not mention, like, I can't do any of that. And it's even affected, like, I can't, this is going to sound maybe like, I don't know how it's going to sound, but here it goes. I literally can't go to my mom's house because I'm not even secure enough in my healing that I won't go over there and the behaviors will resurface because I'm still facilitating control in my environment, let alone going to another environment, and specifically that environment where, I mean, talk about a transformation. Like, that house, when we were living in it, when I was living in it, was a whole other space for me. It was horrible because of just the shit that I got put through. So, And because an eating disorder for me was like control, numbing out, and so many things. Like I've said things that even contradict with each other. Like it was control, but it was numbing out. Like, yeah, it was different things at different times that just manifested into this like massive monster that I couldn't fucking kill. But yeah, like at her place, like I can't, like I can go over and like be there for like a small window of time, but like I can't like be there to like dog sit like her dog because I think I would relapse like that quickly. So that was like really hard. And like she was like really understanding when I told her like I can't like be in your house for extended periods of time right now because like I don't even have control over like me. And I did try to push my limits and cat sat for my dad and his girlfriend, and even that was like pushing me to my outer limit. Like I was so fucking close to just losing it and re-engaging those behaviors. So yeah, there's definitely like family members who like I just don't think they're gonna understand how it works for me, because again there's that judgment of like, but you're not skin and bones. So there's people who think that I must be lying or faking it or doing it for attention when I'm not. Like, it's fucking crippling.
Shit.
Yeah.
So what's the next step for you?
So at this point, I'm pretty good at knowing when I'm hungry and eating, stopping when I'm full, which sometimes I still have to work on, like stopping when I'm full or like building in pauses and not eating frantically. That used to be a part of it, like eating really like frantically and like not being able to, but it was a symptom of starvation. So like getting to a space where I'm listening to my body when I'm hungry, I'm stopping when I'm full, I'm regularly buying groceries, because that was another thing I used to not do. So I've got to get in a habit of like that. And the biggest hurdle that I'll probably jump is getting to a space of body neutrality, because for so long it's been a negative environment that like being body positive, like I can look at anybody else and love their body and like whatever, but like can't at me. Like I can't love my body. That's how it feels. So I guess the biggest hurdle I'll probably jump is that like realizing that my body is like good and worthy of like love, like my own, and then by like another person's love, that it's like a beautiful body and it's good and it's worthy of love, even if it has stretch marks. Yeah.
So do you see your transformation as completely, I'm trying to think of a way to put this, not that it's bad or anything, I think in metaphors.
Yeah.
So okay. So do you think it's possible, like, do you see your transformation as living a life without the monster or having the monster tamed?
I'd love to say a life living without the monster. But the thing is that you cannot consider yourself cured from an eating disorder unless you've been in a space without that behavior for 10 years. So I can't tell you if the monster is gone for another 10 years, but I'd like it to be there until that 10-year mark. It might be more of, especially this first year, it's probably gonna be a lot of like those first couple months where like I knew I had an eating disorder, but like didn't stop the fucking behavior because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And other than I was reading and like trying to educate myself and work through exercises and activities to like, you know, cognitively understand what was going on and deconstruct behaviors and whatnot. So there's like that part where it was like really like looking the monster in the face and like engaging the behavior, but trying to be better. So I think I'd love it to be monster is gone forever. I just don't know, because like, and like, honestly, the way these like things get started is just like fucking diet culture. And like, that is honestly one of the hardest parts, is like people don't get that they will say things that could instantly rekindle the flame of my eating disorder. Like, and I don't want people to fucking be on eggshells around me. I don't want them to be fucking afraid of what to say that might set me off. I guess, other than my mom when she was talking flippantly about weight and I snapped at her. But like, example, I was at the bar after work on Friday, and this woman I work with was saying that she had recently started eating quote unquote clean. And that already to me, like, already that's bells and whistles going off, because you're moralizing food when you call it clean, because you're saying everything else is dirty and you're saying that everything else is like crap, basically. And she was saying that she had started eating clean and that, you know, she had lost 6 pounds and in like 2 weeks or something like that. Or maybe it was a little longer than that. But the point is that like, that is normal conversation. Then people started adding in, oh, I'm trying this diet. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm losing weight here. Oh, this is what I'm doing. And like all the while, I'm sitting there like, all of these things at one point for me were the catalyst to go home and engage in the behavior. And it would spiral for weeks. So that's the hardest thing, is people don't get that. And it's so normal to talk about, like, and she was saying she got like a recipe for a new like thing from like some like 2 of our principals. And it's just normal. It's like how people talk. Or there's a coworker I have who is really open about the fact that when she was in high school, she had an eating disorder, and people throw jokes at her. And it's like example, like they were joking that her current boyfriend took her to the like Old Country buffet and how insensitive given her history of an eating disorder. And like, that was the joke. And I was like, oh, and I'm sitting there like looking at them, like fake laughing. 'Cause I'm like, fuck you. Like, that's not funny. And it's like, but it's like, I have to just sit there and be like, yeah, it's really funny. Because then too, if I do say, you know, like, actually, Mr. Coworker, I have an eating disorder and I can't fucking handle that either. So could you shut the fuck up? Like, I can't do that. I can't do that. Yeah, as hard as that, you know, as much as I want to be like, I have a problem. I don't know. But again, you don't want people to know, because they'll just judge you stupidly because they don't get it.
What's been overall your favorite part of recovery, or your favorite, I guess, activity, or like a part of your recovery that's now part of your routine? What has been like the most effective when it's like, dude, this is my shit, I love doing this?
There's a few different things. I probably don't have like a single favorite. One is therapy. I fucking love my therapist. She's fucking amazing. Like, awesome. It's great. It's wonderful. 2, being okay and not judging myself for ordering the food that sounds good. And like, this is what I mean by that. Like, it used to be that I would tell myself, like, you need to order this, like, example, salad, because, you know, you need to lose weight. You need to be smaller. You need to control yourself. But now, when I order a salad, it's because that sounds fucking delicious. And I want that salad. And I fucking eat it, and it's delicious. Last week, I wanted a fucking veggie burger and cheese curds and beer. And I fucking had a veggie burger and cheese curds and beer. And it was fucking delicious. And before, I could never enjoy food because it was a means to shame me or be happy and be moral and like pat myself like, oh, you were so good because you only ate X. Like, when instead, like, now I'm able to like enjoy food. And 3 is like, because I'm not always like planning my meals down to this one moment or this one calorie allotment, I'm able to just be like, what sounds good? Like, what do I want to make? And like actively enjoying fruits and vegetables because they're fucking delicious, not because I have to eat them to be healthy or not because I have to eat them to lose weight. So that's been awesome. And yeah. And like legitimately just like enjoying like, and not like, oh, I just never had a good relationship with like eating. And now I really view it. It's like, it's time to like nourish myself. It's time to nourish my body and give my mind a break and like just even keel. And also too, just like all the like, part of like that has led me to like my self-care journey or been a part of it where like every day I have like 8 things that I do. Like I try to practice yoga daily. Sometimes it doesn't happen every single day. Like I had a really hectic week this week, but like literally I aspire to do yoga every day for at least 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. Take a probiotic and my multivitamin, drink enough water, move my body in a way that feels good, journal, meditate, and write a gratitude list. But those like things are like awesome and like the things that I need to do every single day to feel good. But the fact that like now I know that, like, oh man, like my therapist, like on our first visit was like, you have the rest of your life ahead of you and this is amazing. She's like, you are clearly like highly motivated and a go-getter. And you walked in here with the knowledge of intuitive eating, which in her first time in how many years of practicing, I was the first client to walk in having read that. 'Cause she's like, this is how I operate. I'm so glad that you have this working knowledge. Like we're going to do so good. So like all of that's been amazing. All of that's wonderful. I just can't wait to get to the space of body neutrality and self-love that I really want because yeah, I've just been living in like body hatred land. And now I'd just like to take a couple steps. It's not a couple. Sometimes it feels like way too fucking much, honestly. And like, it doesn't help too that like, because my body has gone through so much changes when I was at the peak of my eating disorder this past year, just natural consequence, like clothes, fitting, not fitting. So I have to like dress my body a little bit differently, but like my body's changing now because of I'm different in how I nourish myself and treat myself from before. But it's just like hard. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if I've been hearing correctly, because I'm not familiar with the term. Is it body neutrality, like NEU, or mutuality, like MUT?
It's neutrality, NEU, neutral, like being body neutral. So you're not negative, like you're not hateful, you're not spiteful, you're not upset with it, but you're also not like encouraging when you look a certain way because that can just feed the eating disorder. You know what I mean? So it's like being just a space of like liking your body, being content with your body, no matter what the shape and size and color and stretch marks, no stretch marks, chicken pox, no chicken pox.
Shit, I would hope you, because that's like bad to have once you're older, the chicken pox.
Yeah, it's shingles. Actually, a guy I work with got shingles and he was out for like 2 weeks. It was terrifying. He still has his hands look like liver spots all over him.
Was it the same guy with the at work that you were talking about earlier?
Oh, no, it wasn't. No, not Mr. Coworker who was being insensitive about eating disorders. No.
Okay, I was going to say, because you could just be like, ha ha, that's what you get for taking cock.
That's what you fucking get. Because it's chicken pox, taking cock.
Yeah. Well, in a way, this is like, this part of your life is kind of like your quarter life existential, emotional chicken pox.
It's literally like, you know how a phoenix is a bird? Mm-hmm. I'm going to just extrapolate. So it's kind of like adult chicken pox, but instead of actually a chicken, it's a phoenix, and I burst into flames, and now I'm a little fledgling coming out of the ashes, like with like 3 fucking feathers, and I'm like, I'm here, motherfucker! Like, I'm gonna fuck shit up! I hope more days than not, I want to feel like, I'm gonna fuck this whole world up and watch it burn! Ha! But like, a lot of days I'm just like, fuck me, but not literally, because I hate my body and fuck everything, and I just want to, but yeah, no, so.
Yeah, I wish I could get there one day, because now it feels like every time I have a Phoenix moment, I get dumber, but I have more of a vocabulary to describe how much dumber I got.
What do you mean?
Well, like, it's just like, you know something? I think what I'm going to finally do is I'm going to start being creative again. You know, I haven't had the spark in years. Like, ever since I missed out on the routine of going to college, and 2012 was my last semester. And ever since then, I've just been kind of gasping for air, or just trying to like grab onto like anything that, you know, will keep me from falling off the edge of the cliff, because, you know, I'm a creative person and everything I want to do, like, it's just like creative. And then it's just like, you know something, holy shit, I have this spark, I have this momentum, I have this fucking energy again, and I'm writing about cum.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
See? Yeah. But it's creative, and
but But the cum obsession is getting a little weird. Like, let's just be honest, Brent. Why'd I call you Brett?
See? Because that's how...
What's your name again?
N. With an N. Brent.
Yeah. Brent. Am I saying that right? Brent? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Brett, this is what's going on. I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that be, like, awesome if just for the rest of the series I called you Brett instead of Brent? To be honest, the first time we met, I didn't know... I thought your name was Brett, and I'm pretty sure I called you Brett for, like, months.
Everyone does. I'm that's how I know I'm with someone that I do want to hang around with, because they'll just actually say Brent. And they'll spell it out, and, like, they'll actually, like, acknowledge, like, hi, Brent, how are you doing today, Brent? And I'm just like, oh... Please, I just want to touch your face. You know, but,
it's like it doesn't matter what gender you are. He'll touch your face if you call him Brent.
Oh yeah, I don't give a shit. I mean, love is love. Why the fuck?
Aww.
You know, why love's in the shape of a heart, not in the shape of a cock or a pussy.
Well, remember when I had like a really profound poetic moment in season 1?
Yeah.
When I was like, my heart is a skein of yarn and I knit people fucking sweaters, but and you were like, where's your sweater? And I'm like, I don't fucking know, Brent! Yeah. Like, so an act of me knitting the sweater is like like with every little thing I do every day, I'm getting closer to like a sweater. Like, I do some yoga, knit 1. I took my pills, purl 2. Like, all that shit, like, is the little steps. So, like, you know, and I do, like, you know, it's hard work working on yourself. And you're saying that, like, oh, I'm just, like, getting dumber, blah, blah. But you're not, like, Brent, you've had, like, creative, like, upheavals this past, like, couple months. Like, your creativity is flourishing and is coming out of your fingertips. Oh, I almost said, like, the jizz out of...
See, it's not good. This is what I'm doing to the world.
but like, you've transformed too. Like you are actively making changes and taking steps to be the person you want to be and be in the places you want to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, I mean, I'm not just writing about cum, just like poetically, like I'm writing about blue roses or shit like that. I mean, it's related to. It'll make sense once it comes out. No pun intended. But very few people could know about what the fuck's going on. It's not a porn. It's just completely like, imagine the most ridiculous thing possible, and then cum just happens to be part of the story.
Can I make the comparison to like South Park?
Yeah, like it's as if like if South Park had an episode on that, it
has the absurdism and grotesqueness of South Park,
and it has nothing to do with sexual, like it has nothing to do with the sexual nature.
Yeah, no, it's just the ridiculous and the absurd that you have come to love and expect of Brent is now in his creative work.
Yeah, it's endearingly
disgusting.
Yes,
it's endearingly grotesque. I almost threw up.
Yeah, when I described the story, like I didn't even the story behind it. Like,
yeah, I felt my vomit coming up.
Yeah,
and I'm not just saying that because I had an eating disorder. That was a really tasteless joke I just made.
Cocks throwing up cum and eating disorders. This, what the fuck is the show?
You know, I said earlier, like, oh, I feel like I'm in a different person, and then I'm over here like yelling like choke on a cock and making jokes about eating disorders and what the fuck.
See, but like talking about shit like this has really made me realize that I don't really want to change. Like, the only thing I want to change are my bad habits. Because all of my good habits I like. Like, I like the fact that I'm creative. I like the fact that, like, I'm affectionate. I like the fact that, like, I'm good with words. And I like the fact that, you know, I think I'm a good friend. You know, I like a lot of that shit. I hate buying shit when I'm stressed out. I hate measuring whatever I eat in terms of how much diarrhea it'll give me. She's like, you know, I can deal with controlled diarrhea if I ate this much chocolate. If I had any more, it's not even like a shameful thing that I'm thinking of. It's just like, okay, how sick am I going to get, physically?
Yeah.
And I do, which is kind of fucked up. But
well, but that's like the way like I used to, like, I would get really sick, and then I was like, but you fucking deserve this because you're a piece of shit. Like, that's how it worked. Like, oh, you feel like fucking miserable, you fucking deserve that, you fucking asshole, go do it again tonight. Like,
no, I just became a bad friend to God, because I was just like, all right, God, look, okay, I just had 6 boxes of candy just now, and I can't even feel my balls anymore. Please don't let them meat cleaver a toe off. Throw it in the fucking trash. But no, it's just like, I think like in terms of the transformation, it's kind of living a life without like the worst parts of yourself, or at least keeping the worst parts of yourself in check, because I know like the rest of my life, I can't live it perfectly.
Yeah. And that's totally right. And there will always be things that happen that are unexpected, like curveballs and things that you just weren't planning on happening. They just happen. Like shit you weren't anticipating will just happen. So it's kind of important to just like, yeah. And like, honestly, healthy coping skills is like the biggest thing I learned, which is just like, and like at a certain point you gotta like, I was like so judgmental and upset at myself for never having what I thought I like needed and should have, which was, like a means of attaining or like just dealing with whatever. And like totally like the obsession with body and control, and then numbing out when the control didn't work anymore. It was like a manifestation of trying to make something an object and like making it like something to manipulate and control because you feel so out of control. And like, that's entirely what happened, like on my end, with just like, for me, it was all a means to try to control, to take away pain. And instead of taking away pain, it caused a lot of pain, even more pain than if I would have just never engaged in those behaviors to begin with. So not that it was necessarily my choice, because I never saw anyone to this day. Like, I don't really think my parents, I don't know about their relationships with food. Like, I know that they like food, but I don't think that they like the fact that they like food. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, they're not comfortable with that at all, which is like, now again, like, I feel like fucking lucky that I enjoy eating. Like, food isn't a means to like punish myself anymore or control myself with. So, which is awesome. Yes.
Yeah, because you got the momentum going now, and that's, very important. And it's kind of hard to, it's hard to lose. It's weird because it's hard to lose it, but it's also very easy to lose it, because if it's easy to lose it once you give in to impulse.
Yeah.
Well, even like this past month, like with me, like just give like the past few months, I've been really getting my shit together and like just really knowing like what works for me, what hasn't worked for me, and like, like saving money. And not that it's all about money. It's just that I kind of need money right now to get out of the fucking debt I'm in order to like be out and like just be on my own and like thriving. Like, I can't be where I'm at forever. So I need money to just get the fuck out and get rid of all my debt and get my credit score back up and all that good stuff. But, the creativity that I have now, like for the entire month of February, what I did was I wrote an article every single day during Black History Month about a black stand-up comedian. And I did it every single day. And, some articles were better than others, and the last one I wrote was Patrice O'Neill, and that was 4,500 words long. And I wrote that in the course of 24 hours, and I remember like literally I checked my journal entry. I write. Oh yeah, it's another thing I'm bragging about. I write 1,000 words a day in my journal.
That's so cool. It's so good.
Yeah. So I checked I'm up to 90 pages now, single spaced, and so I checked the January 31st entry, and that was just a really shitty day in general. And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to go through with this. And then like I impulsively did it. And now I'm just like, fuck, I just have all this momentum. And I think transformation is just it's kind of a necessary like thing in life once you have that awareness, because I think it's hard to just come to that place where you can't keep doing the same shit that you're doing. And even if you do have that knowledge, it's like, all right, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know how the fuck to get out of it. But it's just like these little steps that you take towards it. And like now I'm thinking of ideas for like another show that I'm going to start writing soon and release sometime later on this year, if all possible. Just collaborating with you and like just keep recording and all that shit and writing that other side project with the gum. But that has not, I can't even describe what, basically it's oh God. It's based off of a friend's family that I know, but he's so evil he uses cum to control the world. So it's kind of a metaphor. I don't know how to get out of that, but I'm just going to go on and just go on to the next thought.
So it's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
Anyway.
It makes sense once you hear it, but it doesn't, but it just makes sense as to why I would write that.
No, but it's funny. It's like, again, it's totally you.
Yeah.
It's just like so funny. And like, I totally get, because like sometimes when you're like got the momentum in other areas, you look at the areas that aren't moving and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, get your ass together. But like, you just gotta be like, nah, dude, in due time it'll happen. The biggest thing that I'm learning is like, might sound weird, but like asking for help is like a huge struggle.
Yeah.
Huge. So I don't know.
Because it sounds like what you did was peel back all of these layers that, made it so you can really like reach your full like self and full potential. And like, just even like with me getting control of my shit, it's really made way like, oh, the problem really wasn't buying all these fucking video games. The real problem wasn't me buying all these cards. The real reason was me not learning appropriately with how to forgive people. And that's another big part of my life I'm really trying to work on now, is because I am a grudge holder, and I know that I've never really gotten over with how to deal with that. I've just found more ways to get around it. So it's kind of like hearkening back to an earlier analogy on a previous episode. It's as if like you have a room in your house that's just filled with shit and it's dirty. It's like, all right, well, I'm just going to not go in that room.
Yeah.
But it gets to the point where it's like, all right, well, there's no other room in the house I have to go into. So I have to kind of make my own space in here. So it's just like, all right, I at least got my bed in here. And it's just like, oh, I go to sleep with this fucking anger, and just like the resentment towards the people who have wronged me. And I'm just like, oh, that's why I'm buying all this shit. Because when I'm buying all this shit, it makes those feelings go away.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's like, yeah, it's just, it becomes a thing of like no other means of like coping and understanding and working through it. So you just engage with the familiar, what feels good. And like, it's true. Like when your brain leads you to those things, your brain is so intelligent because it's like, here, this will make you feel better. But like, it doesn't feel good after the first time. It doesn't feel good anytime after that. So it's kind of like, yeah. It's
kind of like when you give into pain through impulse, it's kind of like if your pain was credit.
Yeah.
So like with a credit card, the whole allure of it is, okay, instead of spending $500 now and spending $500 now, you can just pay us back $25 a month for the next maybe 5 years. And you're like, well, shit, I can afford that. But you impulsively buy something on a credit card that bites you in the ass, and you actually spend a lot more money down the line than if you were just like kind of saved up and then spent it with that. So that's kind of how I dealt with like, impulse in terms of pain. Just fucking, all right, I'll just buy 6 boxes of candy and down that shit until like my face hurts.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to buy all these fucking games and like literally fill out I couldn't even use my closet to hang my clothes in because like these fucking shelves and video games would just be bursting out of them.
Yeah.
Same with cards, and I had a little stint with like comic books, and I was just like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah, well, and it's a means of like, it's again an object to control. It's not addressing like the issue.
Yeah.
Like it's like easy things to get you by, but it doesn't do the big, deep, hard work and heavy lifting that needs to happen, it's like, yeah. And it's just hard too, because like most of the time we like struggle in silence, or we suffer in silence. If you're like me, like people would look at what was going on and they're like, something's up, but I don't know what. And like, yeah. And again too, like people can be so frivolous with their advice that they don't understand the damage they're doing, you know? Oh, just like do this, or, oh, I'm going to talk about this diet, or, oh, you know, oh, if you don't want to do that, why don't you just do this? And it's like, oh, I literally had moments where I thought to myself, it would be easier to be an alcoholic and wishing I was an alcoholic instead.
Yeah, because there's at least like, that's the one that is probably romanticized the most.
Yeah, it's so disgusting.
But it like people are just like, oh, you know, I could understand. Yeah, you drink, and I mean it destroys so many fucking families. But at least you can definitely, there's a lot more help. Whereas there's not the same ignorance like with eating disorders. Eating disorders is like, well, just fucking eat. What's the big deal? Yeah. Like with alcohol, it's just like, just fucking drink less. It's not as out there in the ether.
It's not. Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, just fucking eat. And it's like, wow, that's part of it.
Like, hey, you know something? I didn't think of it that way before. Holy shit. Right.
I should just fucking eat, because I never fucking thought of that. You're fucking brilliant.
Like this epiphanic fucking moment right here. I'll just eat. Holy shit, man. Like, seriously.
What? You're telling me instead of just being anxious and hating my body and fixating upon the parts of myself that I don't like, instead of doing that and then punishing myself with various means of unhealthy behavior that I will not detail because it's very triggering for some people. Oh, just don't.
Yeah, just stop it.
Just stop. Oh, thanks. I didn't fucking think of that. Awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't punish myself for hours thinking, why can't you just be normal? Why can't you just be healthy? Why can't you just be skinny? Why can't you just be this? Why can't you just be that? Oh, God, if only.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, now you can shut your yap. And, well, if you excuse me, I'm going to suck my own cock. Hang on a second. Yeah, so anyway, just don't fucking eat. That's all the advice you need. Oh yeah, also, is it cold outside? Actually, it's not that cold. Fuck it. Alcoholic, just stop drinking. All right, hang on, I'm going back.
Oh my God. That was like the deep throat one, because you were like really deep when you did that one.
Look, I mean, like that's all what it comes down to is like, you know, that's kind of what advice sounds like sometimes. It's like when you really open up to somebody about something, and then like you just kind of want them to say words, but they're just like, here, look, I am so sorry you went through that. I just want to say like, it's just like, wait, what? I can't understand. Do you like what? Like, can you speak up, son? I can't.
It's like when you go to the doctor and you're like, it hurts when I do this. So they tell you, well, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
It's like, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
I can't understand you because you have a dick in your mouth. But like, what are you talking about?
Sir, I'm not going to take advice from someone who has a dick in their mouth.
Wait, hold that thought. Like that, all I hear is a dick punch in the back of your throat.
I don't want to know the answer to this, obviously, but my rhetorical question is, have you ever even seen someone give head, or have you even like, that does not happen.
It's in the movies.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, okay.
You don't see the movies I've seen.
No, I don't, thank God. I can't watch those movies. They gross me out too much.
Yeah, you've never seen someone cry mascara that wasn't wearing mascara.
That's so good. That's horrible. Like, I don't support that at all, but that's really funny.
That's the whole video. That's the fucking beginning, the middle, and the end, and the credits.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's really fucked up. Like, if you watch it with two free hands, it's like the most horrible shit, like, imaginable.
Stop.
However,
stop.
This is recreated in a theatrical performance whenever someone gives you advice when they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, no, it's exactly it, where they're just like, they're literally, another way you could say is they're literally talking out of their own ass and they have no idea what the fuck they're saying. It's just
They're either
fart noises.
talking out of their own ass or they're sucking their own dick. It's one or the other. And they both, one sounds like shit and the other one sounds like, hey man, you got a dick in your mouth. And
could you speak up, sir? You have a dick in your mouth.
I'm sorry, man. Could you speak up? I'm really hard of hearing. Just like,
Jesus Christ.
Don't do that.
Jesus.
I'm just, it's out there, man. Don't just, you're still innocent. Don't.
No, I'm not gonna. I can't.
It's not good for your.
I'm too pure for this world.
Yeah, don't add this as part of your recovery by any means. Yeah.
It would be swapping out one vice for another. It's not really a vice. It's a means of control and destroying myself, but whatever.
Yeah, well, 10 years later, you're like cured of your eating disorder, but now you're a connoisseur for fucking cock videos.
Exactly, and I'm not letting myself go down that rabbit hole. Mm-mm.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just insane, man. But I don't know. I think what'll really help, it's weird because a lot of it is the self-transformation aspect of it. Like, I think it has to come from our own willingness to change, but we do need help. Like, we do need that support. We do need to have people who are around us who are encouraging.
Yeah.
Who actually say, like, hey, man, look, that sounds weird, but I can't wait to hear it, like, that next creative piece. Or like, hey, man, keep writing. Or, Gabi, you just got to keep doing that shit, girl. You're going to be fucking cured one day instead of just like,
yeah, people just need to be like, yeah. So I guess maybe that's like a way you can transform if you're one of the people who talks out of their ass or while sucking their own dick. The way you can transform is by just saying, if someone tells you they're struggling with like addiction, eating disorder, mental health stuff, whatever it may be, maybe you just don't need to say anything at all other than, thank you for telling me. It clearly shows you trust me. Like, that's all. I'm here for you.
Yeah, just close the asshole. Put the dick away and just open an ear a little bit. Just make eye contact.
And you don't have to fix it.
Yeah.
No one is asking you to fix it. I think the hardest thing is that, like, some people don't get when you're like expressing frustration versus asking for advice. Like, if I say, hey, I have an eating disorder, what should I do? I'm asking for advice. If I'm saying, oh my God, I'm really struggling right now. My eating disorder has been kicking my ass all day. It's been really trying to get me to do X and Y, telling me I'm a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. All you need to say is, Gabi, I love you. Thank you for sharing. It shows that you trust me. I'm here for you. Like, that's it. Don't fucking tell me to eat a carrot, because I will fucking shove the carrot down your fucking throat.
Oh, but then at that point, they're just be like, well, wait, Gabi, like, here, try this diet. Like, and they're just smacking a dick on their mouth now. And it's just like,
I was like, when you were doing the noise, I'm like, what is that supposed to be? That sounds like a sex noise. I just can't decide which one.
The dick is just clobbering them in the face.
Ew.
Their own dick. And it's just, it looks like, like those bouncy balls, those metal bouncy balls. There's like 3 in the middle. And then the one on the very end hits the other.
Or the force like carries through, yeah.
Yeah, imagine that, but like with like their own dick in their mouth. And that's what that game is. Again, you don't see the shit I've seen. You're too innocent. You gotta keep that up, Gabi. You're gonna live a long and fulfilling life.
So long as I keep not watching porn.
Yeah. Trust me. Like, I mean,
yeah, I'm not in a hurry to watch porn. Thank you very much.
That is one thing I've really changed my mind a lot about over the past few years is porn.
Yeah.
And it's such like a widely, and it's like an accepted part of the culture. Like Coca-Cola, it's like, yeah, you watch porn and just all that shit. And I'm just like, when you watch it with free hands, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah, there's a documentary called Hot Girls Wanted about the amateur porn industry. Yeah. It came out several years ago by Rashida Jones, was an executive producer. It's horrifying. Like, at the time, the biggest trend on anything Pornhub was this thing called facial abuse, where the whole point was to make the girl throw up. Yeah, that's exactly what you're like mimicking.
Yeah.
And it is. Like, when you said, like, the crying mascara, like, exactly. Like, the girls are crying. They're vomiting. They're not having fun. No one is having fun. It is just... And the guy's saying horrible, horrible things to them. And, like, the one that they show in the video, she, like, throws up and he makes her eat it. Like it's just, and they don't even make that much money doing it. And it's just them in this search of like fame and money that just isn't fucking there. And it's so fleeting. And like, I know you and I have had talks, and it's just like, while maybe like the individual feels empowered, when they fucking market it as empowering to women, it's just like, fuck you.
It's a brilliant trick that dudes have come up with to give you a cue to go off of because you're a chick.
It's like, and again, like there are women who really are empowered by that, and they are like sex positive, and like there really are women like that.
But the biggest thing that has happened this century is that porn and sex have been synonymous.
Yeah, that's totally it.
So if you're saying you're anti-porn, that's like saying you're anti-sex.
Exactly, which you're not. And like that's also too like saying that if you're anti-porn, you're anti. I don't know if this is going to sound correct. It's probably not. Like being anti-porn doesn't mean that I'm anti-sex work. Like I understand that there's like women out there who choose to be a sex worker, and it's what they do, and they feel empowered, and it helps them go get through life or whatever, and like make ends meet. But like porn just is so dehumanizing. Like I don't understand why that's sexy.
No, well, even with the whole empowering thing, like I just can't. I just don't see it. So it's kind of like it's a change in language, but the definition and the treatment hasn't changed. So first, like, okay, if you want to shame someone, call them slut.
Yeah.
And then like someone that would pay money for sex was a whore.
Yeah.
But now someone that pays money for sex in an industry that, if you want to use the term, oppresses them, then they are a sex worker.
Yeah.
But because there's like a job, like it's like a respect, because the same exact act that a whore does becomes more controlled and like part of an industry. Now it's a respectable profession. So they call it a sex worker, sex workers' rights. So, and then when you add more positive language to a profession, you can say that like, well, it is actually like empowering for me to do this because I'm making my own choice to make my life better for the career. But they're still taking the exact same form of that oppression that was used just like in the streets and shit. I mean, most of these women, like, I mean, yeah, there's probably a few here, but a lot of the ones that call themselves like sex workers are just like the cam girls, like on the internet. So this is not an empowering like field that they're getting into. It's definitely not one that respects them. I mean, Pornhub's even like celebrating International Women's Day. When you can search the exact same video of the crying girl.
Yeah.
And that's empowering. But if it was her choice to do that.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is like, oh, but if she chose, then it must be empowering. And it's like, but I like, are we just erasing the coercion here? Because like, even we know from consent training, just because you say yes doesn't really mean you're saying yes.
I think it even goes beyond that, because what it's really doing is it's making you feel good about an idea I had.
That's, yeah, honestly, again, the coercion of it.
Yeah.
Is it of like, hey, sex feels good. Most people think sex feels good. Do you want to have sex which feels good on camera to have money? Well, money feels good when we have it. I know. Let's put these two and two together. And because you chose it, you're empowered. So it's not that like, again, like I'm not denying that like the individual woman probably feels empowered. What I am denying is that like when the industry commodifies empowerment. Look, she's so empowered as she's choking. Wow. Awesome.
She took 50 cocks and a bucacalypse. No one survived. Congratulations to her. She's a celebrity. She's hot. Actually, here's her videos. Here's all of her shit. Mm-hmm. Here's an actual Snapchat that she has of just her everyday life so you can get to know her. But she has money. She's a fucking, she is paying off her own debt. Like, she is like a strong, independent woman. Like, this is the symbol of strength.
Well, and it's like when we think about it too, the viewer is objectifying her. like at every level, she's still just a sex object. Even, and again, there's porn that's more like, that's not, I don't know. There's porn that's more sensual and not just wham bam, thank you ma'am, and a girl choking like on a cock. Like it's different. There is porn that's like slow, sensual, more meaningful, blah blah blah. But at the same, or it's more like equal for the partners, like in terms of like arousal and satisfaction or like whatever. And so a lot of it is just gross, cheesy, objectification and canned. And I think you're just 100% right that like my biggest, like, we need to have conversations with our children. And obviously this is not my place as the teacher. So if you're a parent listening, need to have conversations with kids when teenagers that like porn is not sex. Sex does not look like that. Sex is not in it. Ugh, yeah. It's not to say we don't have kinks. We don't have things that we want out it, you know, in the bedroom, but it's not like, it's not that. It's the porn right now is just, again, the facial abuse. It's got the word abuse in the fucking title. Like, it's disgusting.
See, the thing that like pisses me off the most about the industry is the lack of inclusion of women, because it's such a male-dominated industry. Every single fucking video I've ever seen has always just been men. Just the look on your face. That's a joke. I just say like there should be more women in porn. It's so many. Every time I see a porn, there's just always two. There's one guy in the locker.
It's just two dudes going at it.
There's a guy in a locker room, and then there's another guy stretching. He's like, "Hey, I didn't know you could stretch that far." And then as nature takes its course, they're banging in the locker room. I've never seen a woman. Not once. This is bullshit, man. I've seen millions of fucking dudes. Not one woman. This is like, okay, this is an age where like women should, like they need the platform. Everything has to be equal. So there needs to be more women in porn, not just all these fucking dudes. Same with dating apps too. I fucking go on Grindr. All I see are men. I've not seen one fucking woman on a dating app. This is bullshit. Do you know what it's like looking for a woman on fucking Grindr and there's none to be found? This is fucking objectification at its absolute worst. This is so much bullshit. There should be more women out there to feel empowered for themselves to be included in these things. Instead, you just see fucking dudes on Grindr, and you just see all these dudes doing each other in the football locker rooms on porn websites.
Jesus suffering on a cross. How did we end up here?
I don't know, but it makes you think that, like, what if somebody actually said that and was serious?
Honestly, that would be the funniest fucking thing. Like, I'm so fucking done with Pornhub. Why, dude? Every time I've never seen a porn with two women. It's just two dudes jerking each other off or finishing on each other, or like one's going at the other with another man just going at, and where's the female representation? And then they just look like, but Chuck, do you finish? And he's like, yeah. And then they're like, am I gay?
No, not at all. Because I'm thinking about chicks the whole time.
Chicks, it's fine.
It's like, that's all there is there, you know?
Hey, you go to Jamaica? You Jamaican?
Yeah. If you go to Chinese, if you go to China, are you Chinese? No. So how come you suck dick? You gay? I ain't gay. All right. Anyway, my main point is that transformation.
You're gonna transform into a gay man.
I am too weird to be gay. I can't. I mean, I'm like, okay, like, no offense. Like, I'm not trying to be offensive. I just can't. I'd ruin the community if I was gay. Like, no one would take that, like, because, like, right now, like, they're in a good spot to where they're taken seriously and they have films made about them and there's representation and it's they can get married and it's fucking beautiful. I would ruin all that shit.
Just the moment Brent is gay.
Like, it would be so bad. They would be interviewing Obama like, yeah, I kind of regret ever passing legislation for same-sex marriages because it turns out that Brett, he'd call me Brett, Brett single-handedly ruined it, starting off writing about cum, and then he ruined dick in general. So nobody can enjoy dick. They banned all gay porn off of the internet. There's no more Grindr. So now homosexuals are going back to living in the closet. Thank you very much, Brent. And then, yeah, so that's why I am the way I am.
And that's why Brent can't be gay.
I can't. But anyway, the big point I'm trying to make is that was a part of my sense of humor, or whatever the fuck you just call what just happened. Is
it's sense of humor.
Yeah. It's been there. Like, well, God, that was a shitty laugh. That was like, oh God, I'm gonna edit that out. But it's part of my life that's always been part of my life. And there was a phase where I went through, like, maybe I should alter the way I try to be funny to get more people to like me. And that did not work out. So I think my real transformation isn't coming from completely changing who I am as a person. It's letting my core get as big as it can. So it's kind of like, you ever see those like Office Max rubber band balls?
Yes.
There's like something in the middle of that, and there's just a shitload of rubber bands around it.
Yeah.
But the smaller the ball is, the more rubber bands are wrapped around it. So once the rubber bands are gone, you're just left with this little piece of shit nugget in the middle. Let's say with me, I'm trying to expand that core to where, I guess it's my soul, like now that I'm really thinking about it, to where I don't have all this shit constraining me really tight and like suffocating me, you know? So I have to risk saying something bad in order to get the cheapest laugh possible. That's just that, like, that's the acceptance I have to do. It sounds pretentious, but that's just like how I connect with the world. That's how I communicate with people. That's just how it's been my entire life. So I have to I think ridiculous shit. I have to be ridiculous. So my transformation is just really coming to terms with who I am. So I was using this vehicle like Bumblebee to get from point A to point B, but I was just fucking transforming out of this shit slowly but surely. And I think I'm at a point in my life to where now I know who I am and I'm totally okay with it. And that's the biggest part of transformation. And I've seen that with you because, you know, ever since we met, it's been this slow progression and you've just been giving yourself a chance. And, you know, like part of recovery is just going to be like one day at a time and you're going to have so much fucking wisdom to like pass on. Like, I mean, you do now, but like once you like have this in hindsight, years down your life, like to when you're 36 and I'm like fucking 80. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm a lot older. But, you know, like the amount of people that you're going to help out with that information, like that's going to really be that real Phoenix moment because you're going to be this fucking bird that's not burning shit down again. It's just going to be chilling on the fucking perch, just like, yeah, what's up, man? Hey, don't eat.
And exactly. Just eat something.
Yeah.
That'll be my moment.
Yeah, just eat something.
Just eat something.
And by the way, the best advice I can give to you is no, not Gabby, no. She had a dick? What? No.
Oh, well, this has been Coffee and Catastrophe. If ever there was a Coffee and Catastrophe episode, it is this one. Because we had an hour-long, deep, dark conversation about something that I have been working through. And then we juxtaposed that with recreations, reenactments of people choking on dicks.
Yeah, this is how it is, folks. So
but thank you for being with us and listening. If you liked what you heard, you can like and leave a review. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, and CastBox. Please subscribe if you like what you hear. It really helps us out. You can also follow us on Facebook at Coffee and Catastrophe, or like us on Twitter, or follow us on Twitter at CCWBG. And until next time, take care of each other. Take care of yourself. Be good to each other. Be good to you. And eat something.
Get the dick out of your mouth.
Yeah, get the dick out of your mouth. Stop talking out of your ass.
Yeah.